What I feel is the most interesting is not just to solely focus on AI from the content generation perspective, but really adding in the agentic system that would really automate all of this email processing.
Welcome to episode 28 of Tool Use, the weekly conversation about helpful AI tools that you can use today, brought to you by Anetic. I'm Mike Bird, along with Ty Fierro, and this week we're talking about AI and email. Not only can AI help you write your emails, but people are using email to interact with AI in a lot of interesting ways. And meanwhile, AI is completely changing how we deal with our inboxes. And there's no one better to explore this with than this week's guest, Sarah Allali, the founder and CEO of Lobby AI, an AI assistant that manages your email inbox. Sarah, welcome to Tool Use.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Mike, Ty. Yeah, definitely excited about this one.
We're super happy to have you on. I'm kind of curious, to hear your story on how you got into the AI space and what got you interested in AI and kind of what inspired you to make Lobby.
Yeah, sure. So I have a background in neuroscience and human and computer interaction. The one thing that I was really interested in at university is understanding how AI can help people in their daily life and especially at work, and how can we build AI products adapted to each user cognitive functioning. So this was kind of the starting point for us. We did like research around like uh, plane piloting, like what is the right level of automation for plane piloting, etc. And then after like all the academic background, I built my first AI company. It was like early 2019.
Really curious about why email. There's lots of different ways people communicate, Slack or Discord, different types of channels, but email's just been around for a while. So why did you choose email to focus on?
Yeah, so email wasn't like the first thing that we wanted to do at the beginning. Once we shut down the first company, it was like an AI agent basically for managers so they can understand their employees' needs. It was like pretty much useful, especially during COVID when everyone went to remote. But when we shut down this company, we wanted to build something that would help as many people as possible in their daily basis. And we figure out that everyone's work day is kind of split in half. You have half of your day where you do your real job, like the one that really moves the needle, and you have the other half that is mostly used to prepare for the first half. So all the organization, orchestration, email, team chat, scheduling, managing your task, etc. So our approach was to find a solution to this specific chunk of your day, and to have something that is kind of handling everything for you. We try to think about like what would be the first approach and what would be the starting point for us. And email was definitely a no-brainer because people are like 90% of people are using email at work. And especially it has something that is really interesting for us, that it covers pretty much almost 100% of your work data. If you have access to your email, we can pretty much understand what is important to you, what is your focus right now, etc. And these data are really useful for us to personalize the assistant to the user. So this was kind of the logic behind, but of course the plan is not just to do like an email tool, because it would just solve like 50% of the problem, but really to cover all of these organization and communication tasks.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm curious, everyone has email, and so many people complain about their email inboxes and how much time it takes to get through their email. And I mean, even myself, I spend more time than I'd like to working on email. And I guess there's been some tools, Gmail's come out with some things, and Superhuman has some cool things. But I'm kind of curious where you think AI fits into this space and how it can really help with email.
Yeah, so AI is solving, I would say, 30% of the problem with email because you can execute some tasks pretty like just faster. Like for example, drafting an email. You could just use like a simple AI features. Gmail is doing it, Superhuman is doing it. Pretty much every email client is adding like AI to draft email, for example. What I feel is the most interesting is not just like to solely focus on AI from the like content generation perspective, but really adding in the agentic system that would really automate all of this email processing. All the tools on the market right now are more or less smart, but you still have to process your email. We still have to go to your email, to your inbox, check what's important or not, already sorted or not, but you still have basically to do the job and to click on this inbox to get what is the most important information here and what you need to do. Where we feel we can really move the needle is to have like a tool that is understanding the user's habits, their users' needs, their goal, etc. And that is really doing this processing for you, so that in the perfect world, you would just have like your assistant, or call it however you want, just telling you, you need to focus on this. I have already prepared everything for you, just like validate or not, basically. This is where I feel we could make something that is totally different and really, really saving half of people's day.
Yeah, having the ability to actually get some behavior is super appealing. Could you give
Yeah.
a couple of examples of some of this processing it can do?
Yeah. So right now, we have nailed, I would say, basic form of processing. So I give you an example. Let's say, Ty, you send me an email that says, let's do a call tomorrow at 2 or 4 p.m. Usually in this situation, if you use your regular inbox, you would be like, do I know Ty? Do I want to do a call with Ty tomorrow? Am I available at 2 or 4 p.m.? Or even if I'm available, do I really want to do a call right now? So either you will send another email that says like, I'm not available, but I'm available like XYZ. Or you would be like, yes, I'm available at 2 p.m. And then you will draft the meeting invitation. And then you will draft a reply that says, yeah, I have sent you an invitation for 2 p.m., for example. All of this processing, we are doing it. So you receive the email from Ty, and your assistant is basically capable of saying, Ty is an important person. He wants to meet you tomorrow at 2 p.m. You're available at 2 p.m. I have already drafted the meeting invitation. And once you send the meeting invitation, I have already drafted a draft reply for you, basically. And what we are working on right now is pushing this processing even further. So, for example, the assistant would be able to automatically follow up with Ty if he didn't answer, or really understanding what is your relationship with this person, how important it is regarding to your goal, and adapting your behavior based on that.
Wow. Yeah, I really like this approach because it's not just a tool for drafting emails like you're saying. It's not just categorizing or whatever else. And I think one of the issues I have with email mostly is like just knowing what emails are actually like worth paying attention to. Feels like a lot of emails, probably 80% of my email just doesn't matter. And sometimes there's emails that are in that pile that don't matter that might be useful, but I feel like most of the time it's not. So like, it seems like one of the most exciting use cases for this for me is like being able to take this pile of emails and then just bring up the most important ones to the top. How does a system like that decide what is like a email to focus on versus one that's not as important?
So I won't tell you everything because we spent like a lot
Right.
of time trying to figure out this, but basically we are making a combination of or onboarding process. The goal is really for you to kind of build a relationship with this assistant, and that it makes everything like if you work with the same person for 20 years, usually you keep working with this person because this person has like a bucket of knowledge about you that makes the person really capable of anticipating everything you would do. So we have this first approach. The second one is how you interact with the assistant and with the tool. So for example, if we suggest you to do something and then you do something else, we take this into account. Or if you do like always the same type of action with the same type of people, we draw certain type of conclusion. And the last part is really about what you tell us is important at the beginning. Like, for example, at the beginning of the week, I'm sorry, every Monday, we send you like a question, like, what is your focus this week? You can say, for example, I want to close my fundraising round by the end of the week, and we try to really incorporate these type of data into the processing so that we resurface only what's important, basically.
Excellent. Yeah, being able to have that automated filter is an
Yeah.
excellent addition. Is it able to build this profile, this concept as to like what gets escalated as important just off the emails, or are there other types of integrations? Like, will it be aware of your calendar or anything, or is it email enough of an avenue just to get that information?
Yeah, so right now we only integrate with email, and you can also connect to your calendar so we can have like an understanding of your availabilities. These are the two integration we have right now. As we are improving the tool, we will add other integration so that we can gather as much information as possible. And basically the goal in the long term is that every company would have like an AI orchestration layer that would handle all of the team's work, communication, scheduling, etc. And you wouldn't use whatever productivity tool the company is using, basically. But transition, we have to, we have a lot of things to do before achieving that.
Interested in this idea of you'd mentioned human computer interface, and I absolutely love AI UX and thinking about what comes past chatbots, and that's kind of this paradigm we're stuck in right now is just interacting with chatbots. And I'm really curious your thoughts on what a new sort of UX looks for this kind of layer around email, and kind of how you're thinking about how the user interacts with this.
Yeah. So first point, I 100% agree with you. Chatbot is really the lazy way of implementing AI, in Gen AI in general. I feel like it's useful in like maybe 10% of the cases, but not more. So our approach is how can we build a product that just work that just really works by implementing like everything that we know in AI and with our agentic system. The goal is that the user shouldn't feel that it needs to talk to like some random form of AI or tool, but that the thing is just working by itself. It's a lot of iteration. I feel we ended up with something that is pretty compelling now. But in the future, I even like envision like a more abstracted version of the interfaces. Like people wouldn't have like to interact with a lot of interfaces. They would just have like their agent assistant or however we'll call it like in 5 or 10 years that would just do the job, and you would just have like one simple screen that recaps pretty much everything. So yeah, you wouldn't see, I would say, the assistant working. I feel it's kind of a little bit the same with all of these browser agents. It's really cool to see them like interact, like in having the user really seeing what's going on. But for the user at the end, they just want to make sure that the work is done and that's all, and not spending time using a tool. So yeah, this is kind of our approach, and where we need to work towards. But yeah, it's a lot of work in progress regarding this.
Yeah, I saw on the website the tagline "Never open your inbox again," and I was like, "Oh, that sounds so lovely." Just have it operating. What other type of knowledge work do you see kind of following the same path that we can delegate to an agent or to a system so we can kind of remove this aspect from our day-to-day work?
Yes. So the first part is really, I would say, not really objective, but what we are doing, all of this like chunk of work that everyone is doing to orchestrate like your real job. So scheduling, email, task management, all of that, you have to do them, but honestly, this is just a waste of time. So an assistant or however you want to call it could definitely do this. The second part for me that is really, really useful is all the repetitive tasks that everyone is doing at work from the work that is moving the needle. So I would give you like a typical example. You're like a financial and you're dealing with a lot of Google Sheet or whatever. I see like a lot of really interesting company, AutoGrid or a Paradigm, etc., who are trying to automate these type of tools. I find it really interesting. Where I feel it's either a little bit too early or even like a bad idea is to automate everything that has like a real psychological impact for the user. So typical example, I'm a founder. It would be fine to have like an agent or an assistant finding me like a list of investor regarding like my criteria regarding my company, giving me like their email and finding as much information as possible. But I would never want to have like a tool that is sending the email on my behalf without me checking. So yeah, I feel it could automate a lot of things beside what we call the last action button. The last click must be made by the user for these important like task that could have an impact on people's reputation or things like that.
Oh, I love that. I love the last click must be made by the user. Because it feels like there should be some amount of human in the loop, especially for these really important tasks. Otherwise, we can't delegate everything to the agents. We have to feel like we're in control to some extent. I really like that. And I'm kind of interested now about there's a lot of AI products on the market now. There's a lot of people trying to launch products, and the more I think about it, the more I think about how like UX is such an important differentiator, and kind of been thinking about like what premium AI experiences kind of look like, and what does a premium AI experience look like to you, or how do you think about how to stand out in the age of thousands of AI apps?
Yeah, pretty interesting you're asking this question because one of our big inspiration is the high-end hospitality industry. A reason why also we named the company Lobby, because I feel that when you're selling agent, you're selling a service technically to a company or to a user. You're telling them, I'm not here to help you doing the job faster. I'm here to do the job for you. So basically, you're selling this service, and there's no one or no industry that is better at that than high-end hospitality in luxury type of product in general. And I feel that what you need to nail in this premium AI experience are two things. The first one is simplicity. It must work. Like when you think about like a luxury brand or a luxury hotel or whatever you want, what is working pretty well is that it feels that it's seamless and like just it works, no back and forth, no complication. The person is supposed to understand who you are, your needs, how you're working, and just like doing the job without interrupting you, basically. It just need to work. It basically it's linked to what we said about the UX a little bit earlier in these chatbot. The second thing is personalization. You need to make something that is really adapted to each user. And I don't remember who said that, but there are a lot of people talking about how we could like even adapt the interface to the user as much as they are as they are using the tool. So the more you use the tool, whatever the tool is, the more the interface adapts to your habits. And I feel this is where we could see definitely like the premium AI experience, something really simple that's working, no complication, and something that is just tailored to what you're doing and your needs. Yeah.
I love the idea of a highly specialized interface that's like dedicated to the
Yeah.
user. If you've had the chance to explore this, do you find it's sufficient to do A/B testing like we've implemented in a lot of digital services, or does AI give some offering to allow us to get that process done quicker and easier? Like, is there a tool to help you build the tool even better?
So I'm a little bit against like using a lot of tools to help you build your tool, especially with the AI agents, because everyone is trying to figure out what to do in pretty much all aspects of the job. So I feel it's better to kind of just do A/B testing on your like by yourself. Something we are trying to implement also, like this is something we are trying to implement with our tool. We are starting with like one set of feature, for example, or one specific application, and we are trying to see how we can move like the software components according to the user usage. But yeah, it requires like just a lot of testing. And I feel this is what is also really interesting is that you don't have like any playbook. You don't have like any company who did this like 10 years ago, and that you just have like basically to copy and paste. You just have to go back to first principles, what people want, what they want to achieve, and just trying to figure out things. Yeah, as fast as possible. It would be better.
Speaking of email, one thing that we've noticed with a lot of the guests on Tool Use is the overwhelming nature that comes with trying to keep up on AI news. So we are announcing the waitlist for Anetic Daily Intelligence.
It's a personalized newsletter where no two newsletters are the same. You'll get a newsletter that's specific to you with all the latest AI tools and AI product launches right to your inbox every morning.
And for everyone that signs up for the waitlist before the end of February, we will give you 3 months free. So go over to anetic.co to sign up today. Thank you.
I'm interested in how we can stand out from like the big companies. And I think about, I used Gemini's email assistant recently, and it's just bad. I'm sorry if anyone works at Google that's listening to this, but it's really just not very good. I can summarize an email, but I had it summarize an email for me, and the summary was somehow longer than the email that it had. And I was like, this is just kind of weird. But kind of something I'm thinking about or I have been thinking about is how like messaging is so important for AI products, and how like positioning of what we're trying to sell. And I think you've really touched on this with like this kind of premium feeling with this like hotel lobby, this like high-end hospitality. Like how important is messaging and how do you think about messaging and what the like copy of the product is?
Yeah. So to get back like to the big companies like Google, etc. Their goal is to build something for everyone. So they want to have like kind of pretty advanced tools, but are that are adapted to pretty much everyone. So they can be bothered by making something super personalized and that is working like at 97%, and and that has like a super great service, etc. They just have like to make something that is okay, um, pretty decent, honestly, given like what they have to do and given the company. But yeah, this is like a different type of experience. Um, I feel like the messaging is really, really important. And this is also why we thought a lot about the branding and how we want to position this like right now and in the future, because you want to make sure that your user understands the type of experience you want to deliver. And you have to match this. So when you talk about Google, for example, no one is expecting something that is working 100% of the time. No one, same for Microsoft. Like no one is expecting like a premium personalized experience, etc. They're expecting something that is working, like pretty much, So yeah, I feel this is something like startups can work with, in really could move the needle and make something really different from what we can see like from big incumbents.
One thing that strikes me about email is a lot of people find it very personal. It's their interface to other people. How have you found the balance between personalization and privacy going? Do people get some resistance to having an AI come and read their emails?
Depends on who you're talking to. Always. Honestly, depends. You have people who are like who love to try like new tools, who are really, aware of like early stage company situation, etc. Who are just like, yeah, just give me your thing and I want to try it and I want to use it because this is something that I need. I told to like a big company like earlier this week, and they gave me pretty much the list of everything we need to do to be able to onboard the whole company. And of course, this is another level. So yeah, of course, there's no one who would be like, I don't care what you do with my data. This is pretty much obvious. But yeah, honestly, it depends.
I'm kind of really just curious to see it now. Like I've heard so much about it, I'm just itching to see what this demo looks like. So, you mind sharing what your demo is?
Yeah, so this is Lobby. So basically the way we thought about the product, when you sign up, you do the onboarding with the Lobby. And at that time, you really explain to your assistant what is important to you, the labels that you want to have for your email that are basically the topics of your job. Can be fundraising, product team, AI newsletter. You really write whatever you want. Then you answer questions about how you like to book your meetings. We wanted to avoid like the Calendly issue where it's not because you're available that you want to do a meeting at that time. So you can be like, I want to pack all of my really important meetings in the morning and keep 15 minutes between each meetings. And if I don't have already a meeting that day, please don't like book something. You really kind of explain what is important to you regarding your meeting scheduling so we can adapt. And then you have your assistant that really analyzes your last month email behavior to draw this brief, basically. Here we are splitting the email based on, is it an important email that you need to look at? Do you have any external action items? So pay this invoice, sign this document, or whatever, or all the other email that are less important. For every email, we label the email based on your labels, and we extract the call to action. So for each email, we tell you, here you need to reply, and I have drafted something, or here you need to schedule something, a meeting, and I have check your availabilities. I can show you a first example. So this is an email with Jordan, who is an investor at Betawork. We summarize the whole conversation. Here, the assistant has flagged this as a fundraising email. And Jordan reached out and she wants to do a 20-minute call tomorrow at 9 a.m. or at 10:30 a.m. ET, basically. Just down here, you have all the processing from your assistant. So step number one, it check your availabilities. It says that you're available tomorrow at 9 a.m. and not 10:30, because at 10:30 you already have like a product meeting. It has drafted for you the meeting invitation. And then it just asks you, do you want me to send this meeting invite? You can modify whatever you want to modify, of course. You click on set invite. And then step number three, it generates for you, after you sent the invitation, automatically a draft. So that is just saying like, thanks for reaching out, curious to know more, and I have sent you an invite for tomorrow at 9 a.m. You can modify this however you want. And basically the goal is to do this with all of your email. You have everything that is already prepared for you, and you just have to double check. And when we talk about, click on the last click button, so we don't send like any meeting or a meeting invitation or any draft on your behalf without your prior consent. So this is what we do primarily with the email. We also extract so all the action items from your email. So you have something that is really actionable. If you want to start with this, like morning, you can definitely do it. For example, if you have someone asking you to review a document or approve like final version of Delaware franchise tax, deadline in a week, all of these actions that people are asking you to do, it's automatically extracted. And what we are implementing right now is really this relationship building with the assistant. So on the first version, you just had to explain to your assistant what is important in your email, how you like to book your meetings. Now you would have like a check-in with your assistant every Monday, where your assistant will try to understand what is your goal and how you can optimize your week. And then you would have your assistant making you regular recommendation about what to do to really stay on top of your day in your email. This will help us also make a transition from a pure email tool to email plus other integration. So for example, here are all the newsletter you have never opened, I can subscribe for you. Or you reached out to Google, they never answered, I can follow up for you, etc. And of course, you can ask your assistant to perform tasks. If you have like any task, like asking like an introduction to someone or whatever that is related to your email. So you don't have to do it and you can just focus on what is important to you. So yeah, this is the first version right now of our AI executive assistant.
For first version, I'm super impressed. The thing I love most about this is you've got this blend of there's this design concept you probably know of, the most advanced yet acceptable, where it's like it seems like you've made something that's advanced, but you still kept elements of traditional email. You kept the button called compose, and you kept an inbox, and you made it familiar. Yet there's a button that says call to lobby, and like that's just advanced enough to where it's like, oh, I want to click that button. I love the copy that you made for this. It feels like a +1 addition to what email actually is, and so I'm a huge fan of what you have there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's pretty complicated because when you're the founder, usually you always have in mind to make something that is totally revolutionary and removing everything and all of that. And especially with action and tasks like email, people need to feel that they are in control of what's going on, and they are doing the same thing for like 20 years. So we need to keep them, especially at least at the beginning, like some components so that they are not lost too much. So yeah, the interface will evolve, but it will evolve as like people are getting also more familiar with all of these agents type of product.
Excellent. And I'm curious, when you mentioned the Monday call to, catch up with your assistant, kind of set the priorities, can you do that at any period of time through the week, or is it like a one-time thing?
Yeah, so the goal for us is really to have the user building a relationship with their assistant. So we wanted to kind of implement the first basic type of action people have with real human executive assistant. Usually what you do, you like catch up like Monday, you check like what's going on in the week, you like share your focus, etc. And at the end of the week, we do the same kind of to unwind. So we are doing this, and every also morning you have your digest where we will highlight on top of it, this is the top 3 to 5 priorities. You told me your goal is to close your rounds, so check these email related to fundraising first. I have already drafted the reply. Just double check so you're sure you're done. And if you have to do something like in 5 minutes, this is when you need to focus on first. First with the email and then with other tools. So the next one is scheduling.
It's kind of a new way of working to some extent. You kind of tell your assistant what you want to do and at the beginning of the week, and you're able to give it requests and things like that. I'm curious about how you think about like what the relationship between AI and humans is going to be, and kind of what like a traditional like workday looks like for people in the near future when they're working with agents.
Yeah. So the future that we see is that every company will have like their work orchestration layer that will handle all of these, what we call kind of productivity task. So email, scheduling, task management, etc. People wouldn't have to check your email, to check your calendar, to check their task list, whatever. You would like if you had like someone in every room next to you who is basically handling all of this busy work. This is really how we see the future. Before getting there, we need kind of to draw back a little bit. And the first part for us is to give an executive assistant to early stage founders who wouldn't necessarily have the budget right now to hire someone like 2-3K per month. In this assistant would at least like take like a good chunk of their busy work for them, like so they can stay organized and always focus on what is the most important, focus on execution. Yeah, this is how we see
Yeah,
things.
excellent. Being able to leverage up the capabilities of, like you said, early stage founders is phenomenal. They're the ones who can really use the assistants to kind of get in and start escalating things.
Yeah.
In your personal life or your work life, do you use any AI tools?
So I use very few tools in general, especially everything that is kind of productivity related. I wrote like a Medium post about that, saying that the problem with productivity tools and tools in general is that they force you to use it and they want to catch your attention when they need to do the exact opposite. They need really to give you back your attention. So everything that is taking me more time to use than just doing the job by myself, usually I don't use it. The only thing that I'm using right now really is Granola, like a lot of people for meetings, because it's really helpful. But beside that, I'm not using like personally a lot of tools. Like ChatGPT, of course, is the base since the beginning, but yeah, not necessarily a lot. I didn't find like anything with a nice UX that wouldn't catch my attention, you know?
Yeah,
This is the problem.
yeah. Yeah, UX is one of the problems, and we
Yeah,
actually, Ty and I both use Granola,
yeah.
and we found that same thing. We've made a tool to help with transcription. We've used a few other ones, and there's always just kind of off. But when you have something just there that allows you to interact with it in the way that you normally do, we find it immensely valuable.
Yeah.
Do you find that with these tools that help with your flow, would integrations to other systems really help? Like hypothetically, if we were to take Granola and be able to plug it into Lobby, do you see value there, or do you think we should still kind of keep these systems isolated?
No, totally. Or long-term vision is that you wouldn't have to use like 10 different tools for all of that. Because if you think about email, and this is also one of the reasons why we started with this, email is the center of work. And what most companies have missed trying to fix email, like they say, is they see email as an isolated thing. But when you think about email, you take the information from email, you put it on your Slack, and then on your to-do list, and then from your to-do list, it's kind of a mix between all of these organizational tasks. And our approach is really to have one system, like one layer that is handling all of that. And not having like one calendar and one task list for that, and one team chat for that, and your email there, and your calendar there, etc. So yeah, I totally see a value of making kind of a whole ecosystem.
All right, I got one last question for you from me, and I'm really I asked this to some of our other guests, and we get some of our best answers out of it. But you're a founder and you're a builder. You're building this interesting tool. Like, what advice do you have to other builders in this space that are just getting into it and are trying to build AI applications and trying to, become founders and create companies for themselves? Is there anything that you found very helpful or any advice you'd have for these kind of people?
I will give an advice that I would have loved to have for my first company, because this is the number one mistake that I made. That is, it's not because you can automate something that you have to automate it and that it's a good business. Um, I feel that people right now are a little bit too much in the quest of, oh, there is like this thing that people are doing manually, so let's put AI there. And there is this thing that is not automated yet, let's put AI there. Without like really understanding if it's a problem, if it's a problem people want to solve. Because if it's not because it's a problem that people really want to solve it, and if it's not like on top 3 of their bucket list of problems to solve, this would potentially make like a company with like $5 billion ARR, but not really that much. And the last part is it not just like a solution searching for a problem? It's not because technically on the paper it would look nice that it's worth doing it, you know? So yeah, I would say this is the number one.
Excellent. And last one for me, one theme that's kind of like kept percolating up through your different answers and whatnot is the human psychology, the way people interact with it, and the need to like take that into account. For people who aren't formally trained or maybe just, getting new to the space, do you have any advice on where they can either learn more or things they should try to focus on in order to better understand the way humans are interacting with computers?
So with computers, so it depends a lot on what they are doing with the computer. But I would say, and this is like the most basic advice possible, you're targeting a specific persona, you find 50 of them, you ask them questions, and that's all. This is really basic, but if you don't do this, you really don't understand like what people are really facing. And usually you're like, oh, I guess that they have this problem, or I've heard that HR have an issue with XYZ, so maybe I should do something for them, you know? But if you talk to like one HR, or if you don't talk to anyone, there are a lot of people who are never talking to anyone, you know, and trying to build something based on existing tools. This is the worst idea possible. So yeah, just taking 50 people, talking to them, understanding how they are talking about their problem, understanding also if this is really a problem that they want to solve. This is really important too. And really getting back, this is the second time that I say that, but I feel this is like the key when you're building a company. But getting back to first principles, like decompose the problem with the user and just go back to what they want to achieve, what is the problem, how do they feel, how they are solving it right now, why they are solving it this way, you know? All of that is the key. And yeah, look at people when you're talking to them, because their face is saying a lot of things too. So yeah.
Absolutely. Sarah, this has been a blast. Really excited to try out Lobby. Before we let you go, is there anything you'd like the audience to know?
So yeah, we have just launched 2 weeks ago now. So yeah, if you definitely want to try having like your own personal assistant, starting with email and soon integrating with other communication organizational tool, please just go to thelobby.ai. I'm happy to give you like an access as quickly as possible. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we're super happy to have you on. That was really interesting. We love this space of AI tools that are doing things for you in the background rather than just like chatbots. So super interesting conversation. Really appreciate you having you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.
See ya.